got our intro back. Yo,
we got our intro
yo.
back. What's cracking?
The intro is back. I thought it was lost forever.
What's going on, Mr. Guy?
Nothing much.
Here we
right
go.
on cue, baby. Right on cue. You jinxed it. He was like, she better not bark. And then as soon
dude,
as
I'm telling you, she's gonna drive me crazy tonight. She's been driving me nuts.
Which one is it? The new one? The young one?
It's Mama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hold on while I bark at her.
All right, now that you're back from the barking.
Yeah, back from the barking. Maybe I scared her enough to not do it anymore. Who knows? What's cracking, Godfrey? How are you, man? Had quite an eventful week with you in the GTA online community the past couple of days, that's for sure.
Yeah, man.
You've definitely added some laughs to the crew.
For sure. Well, listen, I think there's I'm a blessed guy, and I signed in, and I inherited a very wealthy account.
Silver spoon, baby.
I think Christian is a little salty about that. Like,
it's not
like
a matter
hard-boiled egg.
It ain't a matter of salty, Godfrey. It's a matter of the fact that you just have no idea what you're doing.
I've never been a GTA guy. I mean, I'm getting into it now, though. It's pretty decent.
Everyone, for the record, this guy literally said on a chat the other night, I'm not lying to you. We said, yo, press LB to bring up your weapon wheel. He goes, when you say he said press left bumper to bring up your weapon wheel. He's like, when you say left bumper, do you mean LB? And I'm like, dog.
No, it was the other way around.
Either way, just so everyone knows on the side, Godfrey does 97 podcasts outside of the one he does with me.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones he does is a gaming podcast, and literally the dude who does a gaming podcast was like, LB, do you mean left bumper?
I'm a color analyst. I'm a co-host on it, which means I'm in there to bring in some flavor to it. So I'm not the gaming expert of the show. However, I'm more of a retro gamer. I've always have been. Handheld, retro, do some VR, but I've never been a GTA guy, which is a whole nother world, which is crazy. And I could see how people lose years of their life playing it.
Oh, you definitely gotta be careful with that joint.
And I could see how it's ruin our next generation coming.
100%.
I've dated girls and I've heard fights of like, mom, why can't I have GTA? This is crap.
Wildest thing is, dude, one of my homies, my boy, I think his kid's been sneaking on playing at nighttime when he's not paying attention. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yo, dude, by the way, I think your kid's playing GTA without you knowing. I don't want to be the rat or nothing, but I know
we've had stuff like that when we were growing up. It was like Mortal Kombat was a big hot one that you can't play. There was a couple hot games where it's like you can't play that. You can't watch.
I got relatively lucky on that level of things. My parents were never really too bad with things. Married and Children was totally cool to watch in my crib. Simpsons was cool. There was some. Because
Married with Children was dad approved. That's why you were able to get away with that.
Married with Children, still to this day, I would like somebody to tell me a sitcom that's better than that show.
Oh, it's great.
Tell me one that's better.
I love it.
Dude, I'm telling you, I could watch any episode at any time and literally watch it through and not even care.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a great show.
Classic.
It's classic.
Stands the test of time, bro.
Back in the day, though, you used to learn about. So here's the thing, man. It's changed for people now. Back in the day, you used to watch stuff on TV. I would want to watch Beavis and Butthead, and then the late night shows would come on, but they'd be reruns of the old shows. On the Family would show up, Married with Children.
Heroes, all them joints back in the day were great.
Speaking of
Sledgehammer, remember that?
Silver Spoons. Remember that? Oh, I remember Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer was great.
I wanted a Magnum 357 so bad with a white handle.
That thing was so dope, dude.
I thought I was Sledgehammer when I was a kid, man. I was like, yo.
He would bust 6 shots an episode, but there would be bangers every one of them.
Yeah. Looked like a bazooka coming out of his hand.
Absolutely, dude.
It was stupid. But
absolutely. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? How we doing? Sasquatch, Mr. Weber, what's going on? Conway, what's good?
The A-Team. That was a good one.
Hey, Sam, man, just want to let you know, dude, my heart goes out to you, brother. I don't know if everybody knows or not, but Sam lost his wife to cancer. So it's really great to have you here, brother. We just want to, let you know, community got your back, dude. Any one of us, feel free to reach out. We'll hook you up, get you what you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciate it, man. That's can't imagine.
It's great to see you here, bro.
Thoughts and prayers with him and his family. I can't imagine, what that's like. So.
Absolutely, Chris. Al Bundy had the first foot fetish publicly recognized.
Did he have a foot fetish?
I mean, I don't know.
He just didn't like big chicks trying to put on pumps, baking bread, like Chris Rock said. That's what he.
Yeah,
That's what
but he had this thing when chicks had a nice set of feet or whatever, he wouldn't ever mind throwing a pair of shoes on them. And I listen, I can't be mad at him.
But was it the feet, or was it that he thought that the woman was beautiful, so therefore he was okay with putting the shoes on him?
Listen, I'll be honest with you, and I guess it's just what happens, but I always thought Peg was a heater.
I did too. Now,
even before Sons of Anarchy, all that stuff,
100% underrated heater, underrated
beast,
heater,
bro.
Underrated heater for sure. I agree 100%. I actually have a Polk High jersey in my closet, number 33, Polk High jersey.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
It's almost like you can't. It's a legendary jersey.
I know, but still, you just the thing. I just, of course you do.
It's legendary.
Of course you do.
4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Yeah, that's because that symbolizes every guy you get stuck with at a party that starts talking about high school football stats, and you're like, here comes Al Bundy with his 4 touchdowns from Polk High, right? And then like we all got that friend. We're like, oh man, here we go. Yeah, that's legendary, and I get sports jerseys like that, like Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn from Major League. If anybody knows about that, I have one of those jerseys. It says number 99 on the back. That's a big thing. If you're a sports guy, you know.
I think Polk High is still the classic. I don't think you get a more classy jersey than that. I mean, I would definitely give you respect if I saw you rocking that, John.
Well, one of my favorites is the Bad News Bears jersey.
You got one of those too?
Yeah, the bail bonds. I got it in black though. Chico's bail bonds, baby, all day.
Godfrey, you get more and more wild to me every week, bro.
But it doesn't really.
I've known you for 20 years. That's the craziest part about it. Like every week, you still amaze me. This many years into our friendship,
yeah,
you still keep the spark alive every time I have
the original Bad News Bears, and I say original because the remake was kind of like, it was all right. It was Billy Bob Thornton tried his best, but the original Walter Matthau is amazing because they do stuff in there where you're like, wow, man, I can't believe that happened back in the day. Dude's drinking a roadie in the car. Right, like he's got like 4 kids like a whole baseball team of kids in a car with him, and he's got like a roadie with a beer. Totally normal in the 70s.
True story. I was totally normal growing up when I was a kid too, because my old man literally used to drop off me and my siblings all the time with a roadie, to the point where like certain parents would be like, "Yo, no lie, you're not getting in a car with Mr. Woodland." And my dad would literally be like, "Dad, you're not supposed to be drinking and driving." He's like, "Oh, it's not a problem. You just I got rules to the game." He's like, you can't drink at lights. You better knock it off, you two. You can't drink at lights. What the hell else was his other rule? And the wildest part about my old man is he's one of them cats that never uses a blinker. So like he's driving with a roadie all the time and he doesn't use a blinker. I'm like, Pop, what is wrong with you? To this day he does it.
Yo, the no blinker thing is that could drive people insane.
It's the biggest jerk off move ever. And anytime I ride with him, I always call him out on it. And he gets like mad at me for it. He's like, I'll use it when I need to. I'm like, dude, you're going to get somebody to rear end you and you have a beer in your lap. Like, what are you doing? Like, my old man's like 72 right now. So he doesn't give a shit.
He's still rocking the roadies?
Every day, dude.
Yeah.
Every day. My old man, the only water he drinks is beer.
Yeah, that's true. Isn't he like a Coors guy or a Bud Light guy?
Bud guy. Yeah, that's wild to me, but
yeah, well, the roadies are fun, I guess, but I don't do roadies because, yeah, I would get in trouble. I would get caught. I just feel that way. But
I don't do roadies, dude. I get paranoid about that shit.
Yeah,
I even yell at people that want to get in my car when we're going out and shit like that. I'm like, yo, you better drink that shit. You can get in my car with that stuff. Like, oh, man, it's cool. Like, nah, it ain't cool at all. Like, put that shit out.
That's low key because you don't want them to spill it on the seat.
No, it's low key because I'm not trying to get popped for an open container in my car for some douche that I'm friends with that wants to be 21 years old driving around with a road soda, or my dad, one or the other.
A road soda. Yeah. They I could feel you on that. Weekend was good though. The weather was kind of like baseball game I went to. Had to help someone move. By the way, helping, like, I have no problem helping someone move, but like helping someone move and then it's like unplanned is like the worst activity known to man. Like, it's already bad, but if it's unplanned moving.
Unplanned? What do you mean by unplanned? We used to grade, me and my boy Kev, we literally used to grade people, right? So they'd be like, oh man, we need your help moving or whatever. And we would show up to somebody's house, and if they weren't packed and shit, we would just start ripping them the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, we've left before. Like, yo, I'm not coming back till you pack up. Like, we
Yeah, you
grade
got to
you.
be.
If I come to move at your house and your shit's not ready or whatever, I am 100% giving you the hardest time in the world while I go up and down the
All
steps,
right. So
often
like
more than
the
anybody else.
problem with this one is, and we made it work. They waited a little bit too long to get the truck, so they had to get a smaller truck. So they were looking at it the whole time like it was Jenga trying to fit everything in. I was like, look, there's only one way to do this. It's by putting stuff in there and figuring it out. We can't just be staring at it all night. It's
Right.
going to rain, by the way, which it did, and we got it in before it rained because it rained hard Friday night. And I was like, guys, there's a tornado warning on the way. We can't just look in here. My brother's talking to the other guy about, well, we should put this here and put that here. I'm like, no, just shut up and lift shit and put it in. Like, it's going to rain.
When Godfrey's taking the action on making sure the move's getting done with the right amount of like processed, it's definitely an issue.
That's probably because I was the only one that hasn't partaken in the devil's lettuce at that point. And that's definitely I was like, yo,
You can't be one of those cats, man. If you're one of them cats that slow down when you burn or whatever, you kind of have to like
not burn when you can't.
It's a smart play. You know what I mean?
Not burn
like,
when you.
If you can sit on the couch all day and that's what happens when you smoke, like by all means, like just make sure you're labeled.
But just know in this moving time, you can't burn beforehand.
It's not like, yo, we're going to go dig post holes for putting a fence up or whatever, and you smoke beforehand. And all of a sudden, you're useless. You're like the dude at the corner with his, leaning on a shovel with his fifth pocket or whatever. Like, yeah, come on through.
Yeah. So listen, we
don't get ahead of ourselves. We got a really cool guest tonight. Who got in here, Godfrey?
We got Fred.
Fred? Who's Fred?
Fred. I call him Fred the SEO guy, Fred the Google guy, Fred, Glovebox Fred. But I never say his last name because I don't want to mess it up. But I could try to pronounce it. We're gonna say Shimorovich. Is that how it's said?
We got to bring him in.
Was I close?
That was really good, actually. That's how you're kind of supposed to pronounce it.
Oh, really? So there you go.
Godfrey, you're an unbelievable man. I cannot. Where's the applause for yourself?
I know that deserves a.
Fred, I told you he's so bad with.
So how do you say it?
I say it's Shramovich, but it's supposed to be Shramovich.
Oh, I was all right.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
I've heard some doozies growing up, so
I've had a really lucky day all the way through, so it's on par for what's been going on in my life today. Like everything, like things have just been falling in place today, and I've had, for once, knock on wood. Now I'm gonna get like a heater that's bad after this or something, but I don't want to boast. But
well, I mean, I don't want to stop the motion train here or whatever. But we're 13 minutes into the podcast, and you haven't dropped an F-bomb yet.
Yeah, well, here you go, jinxing it. So
just get demonetized right off the start.
Yeah. What's cracking, Fred? How are you, man?
Good. Just summer's finally here in Chicago. Trying to stay focused on everything going on in my work life, and then kids are home and swimming and all that stuff. So it's just a lot of things going on right now. It's all good.
Who's this Frank guy? I taught Fred everything. So Infinite says he taught you everything, Fred. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's speaking, I think, Russian or Ukrainian to me, which so.
Yep. Summer in Chicago is weird, by the way. I've experienced summer in Chicago. I went out there to see my favorite baseball team, the Phillies, play years ago, like 11 with my girlfriend at the time. And it was like 100-degree day. But what was wild is I walked out in the morning and there was fog probably about 10 feet up, thick as could be in the summertime. Yeah. I'm like, what is this
on the lake.
madness?
Yeah,
so we went to the lake and it was weird because there's fog at the lake. And the way it looked, it looked like you should have felt like a 55-degree balmy day, except it was like 105.
Huh.
And you're like, what? You're like, is it always like this here? And they're like, yeah. I'm like
today I got up at, I don't know what time, 6 or whatever it was, 5:45, and it was 48 degrees. By the end of the day, it was 92.
Jesus.
So it's like a huge swing.
Yeah, that's
so
a
my
huge
kids
swing,
go get in the pool for swim team, and it's like 50s, and poor kids swimming laps.
Cold plunge
builds character.
Absolutely. I'm all about that. All about that.
Summer Chicago. Yeah, there you go. So
for those of you that don't,
best city in the summer, I'll say that. So the rest of the year, not so much.
I mean, 45
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
50 in the morning is crazy. to then hit 90.
It'll get more steady. It'll be 70s, 80s in the morning soon enough.
It gets balmy out here, man. We're getting our first heat wave, I think, tomorrow. I think we're supposed, or not heat wave, but we're hitting the 90s tomorrow. So I'm officially going to be crabby moving forward. As I get older, man, the heat and me I just don't get along with it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Not the way I used to, man. I'd much rather be cold.
Yeah,
I'm sick
cold
of
is
cold
yeah. As you get older,
I guess we're just we're not able to be satisfied as we get older.
No.
It's what you have, you don't want, and then you want
5 months of the year. I'm happy.
Yep, exactly. That's why I like living where I live, because I get to bitch 4 times a year about the weather.
That's how it is here.
You know what I mean? But man, I want the summer to be here as soon as it gets warm. I'm like, man, F this F. I can't stand it. So, for those of y'all that don't know who Fred is, which I highly doubt, Fred, you've been in the game for a minute. Most people obviously have had interactions with you. I'm sure you know just about everybody in the chat or whatever. But for those tuning in for the first time, Fred's a man of many talents. I guess, Fred, if you want to get into a couple of things that you do outside of obviously the day gig, you got 2 other gigs that you do pretty much on the that are pretty much your other gigs. Are not really side gigs at this point. You know what I mean?
So my full-time job is I'm the SEO lead for a large women's clothing conglomerate of 8 different women's clothing brands. So I work on several of those every day. And then my other things that I have my hands in are Glovebox, which is a monthly subscription service for car detailing products. And then I also do consulting for SEO and marketing and content strategy for small to medium-sized businesses. So I am definitely busy with all that and have my hands in a lot of different places. So
outside of being a father,
2 kids, both in sports, working wife that's a teacher. She's done now after today, so she'll be able to help more with some of that stuff. But yeah, it's life's busy, but I wouldn't want it slow. I can't stand sitting on my hands doing nothing. So
chaos works a little bit better for us.
I think that's part of my connection to detailing too. I started detailing when I was in high school and realized how that slowed my mind down a little bit to focus on the task at hand.
How'd you know that was our next question? What got you into detailing, Fred?
Oh, geez, I didn't know. So when I just turned 16, I started working at a custom car hot rod restoration shop just outside of Chicago, where I grew up. At the time, my girlfriend's brother worked there. He's a mechanic. They needed like a broom kid to push the broom and clean the shop every day. So I started doing that. I was sophomore in high school. Then I started slowly learning new things, and one of those things was detailing the cars that we were building for our clients, and mostly show cars, muscle cars, restorations. So they were pretty different than like the day-to-day guy that's detailing a daily driver or something like that. But that's where I got my feet wet and polishing and metal work and using a rotary back in the day and all that kind of stuff. That's where I kind of learned my skill set in that. So that's kind of how I got started in detailing.
So from detailing, I mean, getting into kind of like the SEO thing, we work together with a lot of our stuff that we do with BioBombs. Fred's been an absolute goat for us. But like, I wanted to have you on because we were talking the other day and you were kind of discussing how there's been some changes kind of what was going on with Google. Kind of like, I mean, they do this, from what I understand, they do a couple updates a year where they kind of,
they do a few big updates a year. They do constant little things, like thousands little things a year, but they do 3 to 4 big ones a year. 2 weeks ago, they had 2 big conferences, one on a Tuesday and one on a Wednesday. And it completely flipped my world at work upside down. Like, it's probably the biggest change that they've ever done.
Really?
So SEO as we know it is dead? Is different?
It's not dead. It's just there's been a seismic shift. So they started kind of leaning into AI probably more significantly about a year ago. It was last May. They rolled out their search generative experience, SGE it was called.
That's
Some
when you
people would
type in
probably see that.
the search bar, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'd see the
Search
AI
bar.
overviews pop up, and you'd
Yep.
see these long answers populate. So they started back then. What they did last week, though, is, and I was a beta tester on this. It's called AI mode, and they're really pushing it. So if you were to do a Google search, you'll see a tab that says AI mode, and when you click on that, they're forcing it kind of more in your face, so you click on and use it more. Ultimately, they're trying to get to a point that you might not necessarily ever have to leave Google to do an action or complete.
Is that like a direct kind of like hit to try to scoop up some of OpenAI's?
In some cases, yeah. So that's the other thing. Like, and while that's changing in the Google sphere, you have all these other search engines come into play. So you got ChatGPT started a search function. There's Perplexity. There's OpenAI. There's so many of these like fancy new AI search engines, and they just work differently than a traditional Google or Bing or Yahoo. And while traditionally, like, there's ranking factors and things like that, it's kind of flipped upside down now. Like, some of the things that I've known for 14 years to do and learn to do may not make a dent in how these new search engines work. They still have some weight in Google because it's still Google's algorithm. It's just being processed differently in a way. The other thing Google kind of lean into is personalization. So they're really getting into serving different results for Christian or Godfrey or Jamie or whoever. And they basically blatantly said, we have a lifetime of your information that we're using now to process your results, which is pretty heavy to think about. Like, they know everything that you've done, and
I try to get people to understand that, man. Like you are just a data mine. All you do, anywhere you click, whatever, somebody's selling your data pretty much with your authorization because you click the I agree to term shit,
As soon as you signed up for a Gmail account or you signed up to get access to YouTube, they've been collecting your information.
They played the ultra long game so hard, we have no idea. Like, they were playing this 20 plus years ago. Like, we just, when email came out, you are the product, right? Like, how and that's, we're talking like the 90s at that point. And it's just, once it got away from like your native email, like Outlook attached to your Windows type of deal, it was like game over at that point. But I didn't realize it at that point. Probably a lot of us didn't. I mean, I feel like Google's been laying in the weeds right now with the AI, and they're coming out because
they're coming out hard.
I have the Meta glasses, and now I'm like, I might have to sell these off and get my Google glasses because that looks like a competitor for the Meta glasses, which I've liked. But there was a lot of AI involved with that conference because I'm a Google Pixel guy, as a lot of people know and make fun of me about. But so I kind of
like their new operating system for phones, like you could scan a room and say, hey, where I leave my car keys, it'll tell you where they're at. Like, it's wild.
I feel you, Chris. I feel you.
My profile is super sketchy, dude.
And they launched like all these things in 2 days. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that happened because it was just like a sonic boom. Like, so much. Like, there's new tools they rolled out. There's a whole creative suite they came out with to compete against like ChatGPT and like an image builder or video builder. Now they're even monetizing their AI like section of the web search results.
I've heard something about that, paying for AI click ads now or whatever.
So they're starting to feed into that. Like, I knew that was coming. Like, there's no way they're gonna not make money in something. That's right. That's what they do, is they make their money from their ads. So they need to make a way to continue that. Some of the other search engines like ChatGPT search and stuff, like, it's kind of a big discussion point of like, how are they going to get to that point to monetize everything they're doing? Because not a lot of people think they can do it really well yet, but the way they're moving so fast, you never know. It could be a month from now and all of a sudden, boom, they got ads too. So it's just a big
So I mean, from what it sounds like a crazy. I mean, I feel bad for you, brother.
I mean, I'm trying to look at it as a positive thing. Like, if I can get ahead of this and really learn it.
Sure.
So,
I mean,
the
conveniently,
people
the wife's done work. You know what I mean? So you should be able to get a little bit extra time to hunker down in there, or whatever. But I guess, like, how does that throw off things from, I guess, what I understood and always tried to promote with all the guys that we sell to, particularly with BioBombs and stuff. Is like, I always try to push guys all the time. Like, yo, man, like, if you're not doing SEO or like a local, like, geocache or whatever for like your area that you want to service, like, you're really missing out, because somebody else who might be doing it 5 miles down the street might have odor removal services, and they might be tagging for that, and you're not. And like, you could be getting that money because the customer lives a block away from you, but they don't know you're there. Like, is that still going to be something that
I think that might be bigger than it was?
Really?
Meaning, like, and you also have to think about different business types. So, like, at work, it's an e-commerce business that I'm working on.
Right.
A service-based business that's local, that's a whole different thing. So, like, local-based businesses, from what I'm seeing in data and reading through all my SEO guys that I know and from Google and all these places, that local piece is going to be bigger. Like, you need to get in there and really step up your game on how much effort you're putting into that, because that's going to separate you by leaps and bounds over your competition if you can really, get down and dirty and just keep pushing it. One thing they call out was reviews probably have more weight than they did before. So really getting high quality reviews seems to be a trigger. Yeah, Google's leaning on that harder. And then, like, the way
they talk about, like, how
Socrates. I know Socrates going something right now if he's listening.
Did they talk about, when it came to reviews, did they talk about like gamification of reviews or things of that nature? Like,
yeah, they constantly are cracking down on that. Like, every big update they do, they usually are going after things that are not on the up and up. Sometimes they'll do a big update dedicated just to reviews, like they did one maybe 2 months ago. And they go through phases of that kind of stuff. Or like back in the day when they had these updates called Penguin and Panda, which were all weird names, but they went after like people that were gaming backlinks or they were gaming content. They catch on, like, they're not stupid. They learn all these tricks people are doing, or they find out that people are buying backlinks or they're buying reviews or what have you, and they learn how to go after it, and then they do, and then they whack you. So I had a client that, I don't know how many years ago this was, 10, 12 years ago. They contacted my agency because they got whacked for, basically they got caught creating reviews in their customers' names without permission, and the people complained to Google, and they went from like 500 5-star reviews down to like 8 and they got really lit up. Now you'd probably get booted from Google My Business if you did that.
Right.
So like they do penalize you if you try to, they call it black hat tactics, like you're doing shady stuff.
Yeah.
I don't ever work in that market because I've seen too many places just get throttled because they're winning in the short term, and in the long game you're going to get caught, and it's not worth it,
Well, speaking about like Google My Business or whatever, I mean, like, that page, like say mobile detailers, right? Like, somebody's got a business. They've been doing their Google My Business page. I mean, one of the things that you had said with me when we've been talking over the years or whatever is like try to get at least a couple posts up, like actual posts on that a week, right? Like, is that still applicable?
Oh yeah. Okay. They like these new generative search engines are called. They love new content.
From specifically GMB, or they pull from everywhere? Because like if I'm a detailer, like it
makes
sense.
Like what you're looking at is specific that you're updating it in maybe Google My Business, but as a whole, they like it. Like they like new content on your website. They like content that's digestible, meaning like you write something, it's easy to understand. And if it's something longer, maybe it's how to use a bio bar, I don't know.
Right.
But it's broken out in chunks that are easy for them to dissect and regurgitate, because that's basically what their results do now. They regurgitate
Right.
things that they want to show people.
Yeah, and then they reference the sources or whatever as their
exactly, and that's now what we're trying to do. Like, you're not ranking your website anymore. You're trying to position yourself in those references, if you think of it that way.
So how do people? I mean, what is a quick strategy for somebody, mobile detailer, runs a Google My Business page? Like, when you're saying they love content, like, does that count for like Instagram, TikTok? I mean, like, will they count that, or are they almost kind of not pulling from that because it's a competitor? Like, to a degree.
Sometimes, like, there's been back and forth on how much they look at that stuff. But one thing that's been heavily studied the last few weeks is a brand mention. So your business name getting mentioned somewhere. That's become a huge factor now, that even has more merit than it used to. So like, if your brand name is being used somewhere or mentioned somewhere, or in social, like some of those new search engines are seeing that, and they're using that as like kind of like a voting system, if you will. Like, before it was backlinks in Google. Like, these new search engines don't care about backlinks. They just want brand mentions. So whether that's in social media, maybe you're updating your content in external sites, like Google My Business. Another new one I was going to mention that everyone should try to sign up for is Apple Business. Create an Apple Business account.
Yep.
To get your business listed in Apple Maps, because so many people use that.
Yeah, what it does too, I actually just signed up for it. I think it was like last week or the week before. But like, if you have mail, like the mail app through Apple, you'll actually get your little logo next to your mail, as opposed to having to just be a generic shopping cart or whatever they categorize you in or whatever, which I thought was like, that's the coolest part for me. Because like, at least then if you pop like visual, right, like a picture of somebody's website or logo or company that you'd like, you're going to be more compelled to try, like, open that up, and as opposed to maybe chuck that.
And then I think, a couple weeks ago, Chelsea had on Gabe, and he mentioned, if you could post every day, you should. And I agree with that. I mean, there's just some, being maybe a single business owner, you're running your own shop, or maybe you're just on your own, like say Carlos Serrano, like he's doing it all by himself. So maybe he doesn't have the time to post every day. I mean, that's like the pie in the sky, post something new every day.
Like, I get kind of weird about that, right? Because like, for me as a business owner, right, it's like, I don't want to post like, hey, buy my shit stuff every day, right?
No,
because
like, that's where you need to learn, like, again, that's your different business sector. So let's talk about your detailing business. Maybe it's something different. Maybe it's just I detailed a new Tesla Cybertruck, and you talk about that. Or maybe tomorrow you talk about how you cleaned the dog hair out of someone's minivan, whatever it is.
But if you were doing that, like, where would you post that? Like, are you like, should it be the same content on 5 different platforms? Should it be varied between different platforms? Like,
there's some good tools out there that'll let you post in multiple places at once. So you're only doing it in one space.
Yeah, I forget. There's a
you gotta look into like how capable they are, but it saves your time. But I think,
but is it beneficial? I'm saying, do you, like, is there any data that shows it's beneficial to post the same stuff on 5 different socials, or is it showing that you should post, say post A, post it on one, on social media site 1, 3, 5, and 7, but then the next day, like, post something different on 2, 4, 6.
Aren't they looking for like a footprint on the internet? I mean, basically, I would think the point of that is to have a footprint on the internet connected to the business, right? Because there's shallow business accounts out there all the time. I do
yes and no.
On my day time.
To different signals. I think, though, from like a local standpoint, directly in Google, the local Google My Business update is probably the one I would start with every day. I've had another customer that you all know that reached out to me today, that he and I strategized a couple weeks ago about him pivoting some of his YouTube content from reviews and of like products and like doing certain things to more like talking to his local audience and like what he does from a service standpoint. And now he's leaning in that way. So you're more specifically targeting your area. You're talking to people about your more tight niche, if that makes sense. So like you're relating,
you're honing into your, like, you're
Yeah,
focusing on
and
your
that's
client.
back to that personalization thing. Like Google knows where someone lives, so if you're connecting with that, they could probably parse that a little bit better with
Interesting.
vectoring and new stuff that they're doing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
I'm kind of curious to see how that will work with like YouTube and stuff too over time.
Yeah, I mean it's just going to keep changing. And then the local business thing is like, and just some best practice for everyone. Every time you download an image or go to post it on anything, your website, Google My Business, your Bing listing, whatever it might be, always name your file something. Don't just use like the generic Google or your phone file name, like img underscore 94, blah, blah. Like that has no context to a search engine. So
that's
name
a great
it.
tip, dude.
Name it
Interesting.
2025 Toyota
Sure.
Highlander white ceramic coating.
Mhm.
Something
that's interesting.
in Philly, whatever.
Right.
And then every time you publish that, or maybe the customer lives in a different town, so you don't have to tag your town, you tag their town on the file name, if that makes sense. And then from a website standpoint, you know, that new content, if you keep updating like your photo gallery, or maybe you sell products and you update new product galleries and stuff like that, having that context is huge for Google image searches, for other engines that might be pulling that type of information. And then the other thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about is the ADA, the American Disability Act. It's actually, you can get fined and penalized from the government if you don't tag your images appropriately.
Yeah, I do know about that.
Yeah, so we've gone through that on your site and make sure that's done all the time, just because I don't want you to get a letter in the mail that you didn't meet some rule that most people don't know about. So doing it is a best practice for SEO, but also covers your butt on some legal stuff that's out there.
Yeah, the file naming thing is a pretty big tip, dude.
I got a question for you. So when I hear this often from multiple sources in multiple industries, why are some of my Google reviews not showing up that are real? Like,
you have
not
to
even
challenge
just
them.
That's been a huge thing the last 3-4 months. I've helped, I don't know how many detailers have hit me up, whether it's that issue or like Sock reached out to me. He was having some trouble with,
it's a shame, man,
with moving his business from where he lived. Now he's in South Carolina. And I had a few others that have had the same issue in the last couple months. One moved from Ohio, I think, to Texas, and Google's like giving them a hard time about their official business kind of credentials and stuff, even though they have all the information, and they're getting like, they're losing their business accounts. And you know, Sock,
they don't make it easy to verify, man. I've dealt with that on with restaurants during the day job.
I don't want to even talk about it, dude. You're gonna give me a headache if we start talking about verification. I don't want to get into
they're
it.
like, we'll send you a postcard in the mail. Watch out for it. Like, what? Like,
and you can verify different ways, but that was the old school way that you always had to do it. And you can do it through a corporate email. If you take a video of the front of the store that's got your sign and the address that they can clearly read, and then you send them the video.
Is that a person doing that, or are they using AI to verify that?
AI, dude. That's the thing. Like, I got clipped for a couple of reviews back in the day because somebody used the word like, you know, urine and amazing in the same review, and AI is like, nah, that doesn't, like, there's no way that mixes together. Like, we're just not posting that review. I would almost bet it's all AI at this point.
Probably.
Oh, my buddy Troy's in here. Probably one of the best SEOs I've ever known in my life.
Troy, what up, Troy?
Yeah, and he's like an Excel ninja.
I mean, I feel like
Excel ninjas are so scary to me, man.
When I
they're
talk
so scary to me.
And I think the other problem, not to go backwards too far, on Google My Business, they used to actually have a support number you could call and you could get help from people. Now they scratched that.
I hate that. I think tech. I think tech, like, is great.
They've lost themselves, though.
But they don't understand. Like, and I see this on multiple different industries where they're like, this product will work good. There'll be collateral damage, so to speak. But if you don't fit into this narrow causeway, well, we're not going to help you out. And I think they're missing out on business that way. I personally, but you know, I agree. Funny that.
Well, Google was silly with their money for a long time. And then they've even cut back and made huge cuts in the last couple of years. And that was one of their cuts, was redoing how that all was run, which is a shame because now you don't really have any way to get recourse if your Google My Business account gets booted.
Well, that's
It's
my thing.
hard,
Like,
dude.
so
Any tech support nowadays is hard because you're not going to get a chat bot. You're going to get a bot if you go into a chat 9 out of 10 of the times. And then realistically, like I just submit a bunch of stuff from Meta because I had an issue with that or whatever. And dude, I would submit, give them photographs, like step after step after step as I was doing things, and would submit it. And literally, dude, like a week later, I would get rejected by a real human being who wrote me the rejection. And then literally I would reply and just be ghosted for weeks.
Oh yeah.
They would literally just tell you exactly what you already
yeah.
knew in the email. And I'm like, yo, what? Like,
I had an experience with that where I had my Instagram hijacked and I was doing a lot of my podcasts, and this dude was trying to like blackmail me for money, and I was like, you know, we were talking crap back and forth. I was like, good luck.
Subject for me.
Yeah. I was like, good luck, buddy. It's like getting blood from a stone. So basically I went back and forth with I guess it wasn't Meta then, but it was Facebook, Instagram. And I would get those automated reply emails, and I'd be like, I know someone's watching this. I want a real human being. And I would say stuff like, you want me to buy ad time from you? I'm like, as a business, if I can't get a response from you, why would I spend one damn cent with you? And I threatened legal action, even though I was bluffing. And eventually they said, look, send us a picture of you and your passport and we'll give you your account back. And I did with a code they sent me, and I got it back. So I kept fighting, but it made me think, like, with Meta, I had someone yesterday that I know, like, their account got hacked. Like, you want people to build these business profiles on your platforms, but you want to give them minimal support when something happens. It's ridiculous.
How poor it is, yeah.
On top of having a really shitty business suite. And yes, I'm talking to you, Meta.
Oh my God, it's straight dookie. I don't care what anybody. It's the worst I've ever seen in my life.
It's awful. Unless you like, and the way these big tech companies do it, everything's separated, church and state. Like SEO doesn't. There's no SEO people to talk about Google. Like Troy and my buddy Troy that's in the chat, like we know of SEO people from Google that we'll be able to connect with, like in LinkedIn, and we'll get in some banter, but like there's no direct line at Google that say, hey, I'm having SEO trouble. They don't care.
Right.
And
or like, hey, even a support line for you guys would be
expert
great.
That you work with, but they don't have any access to the other parts of the business. I mean, maybe they could help you on the Google My Business because they have local service ads that they can weigh in on. But usually you don't get into that level of support until you're spending, 50 to 100.
They're missing out on a whole segment of business on the population that I would say is maybe 48 plus, like where they're like, I'm just not doing it anymore. And they could be making that money. I know they have so much, but it's just, to me, like, I've seen it with tech companies are just criminal with how they will not get on the phone with you or just have direct contact. If you're giving them money, especially, it just blows my mind, man.
I think any company in general that you deal with that with nowadays is a frustrating experience. I mean, how many times you make a phone call and you're literally on the phone for like 2.5 minutes until you even get through the menu of where you're trying to get to with somebody, and then you hit the wrong damn button or whatever, and it's like, your call cannot be connected. Please try again later. And you're like,
sound like old men yelling at the clouds. Damn you, cloud. No.
Yeah, but it's the worst though, dude. I'm always like, I need to speak to a representative.
Mm-hmm.
And that never
like stuff like this. Google deleted an email for restaurant support, and it took 2 weeks to get someone even to email me back. Sometimes you have to make another account and go through support there, which that's wild to me. I mean, yeah. So if you're not a pit bull like I am, like, you're just gonna be like, oh, the account dies. But I wasn't gonna let that happen. Like I was relentless with them, and they basically wanted me to go away at a certain point, and they responded to me. But yeah, I've
had very few times that I've gotten any help, and like I've had some situations that I've had similar issues with, like that other SEOs have had, and we'll hammer like someone on LinkedIn about it, and then all of a sudden something happens. Kind of happened with the reviews thing. Like there's so many reviews people had a couple months ago that were just getting deleted or not showing up, and then they got battered to death on LinkedIn by some big SEO people, and then they announced, like,
that's what I mean. You gotta harass them.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like going on Yelp and leaving a bad review. You know what I mean? You kind of have to go to that extent sometimes to make things happen.
So Chris, I've got a question here, which I think is a great one. I mean, my recommendation, Fred, if I was going to give an answer to this, in regards to platforms like Angie's List or Thumbtack, I mean, I would say Nextdoor is probably one of the best.
I literally was going to say Nextdoor, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stuff with like Facebook groups that you post in, like I see so many scam ones that people are posting detailing stuff. Like it's hard to
the worst, dude.
take those serious now. You could be a legit detailer, so maybe you do post in those groups. You put your website, your phone
Local
number.
groups, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I think that's the one that matters. And I think if like people are going to post every
next
day.
door, I think is key because you can actually build a business profile on there and really.
That's your area. I mean, that's
your
literally
area. You can
your
actually
area.
get recommendations through that.
But it's like even if you're on there every day and you're posting, like to me, I'm like, this is no diss to Instagram, any other platform or whatever, but like 99% of the cats that are in Instagram, y'all don't even have your cities and counties that you service in your bio, which to me is just wild because no one is looking at your page.
They're hiding from their baby's mama. That's what it is.
I do SEO audits. That's one thing I look at is their social media, like biography, if you will. Like, why don't you have what city you work in there? Like,
it seems like a no-brainer, right? And like maybe it's just
they
something
don't do it, or they don't put their website in there, or maybe they have a YouTube account, but they don't put their Instagram or their other. Like, it all needs to intertwine.
I'm bad. I think like
for me, it's like next door. You can post every day, daily on next door, and even if you're a customer and you're on next door and you're not looking for a detail, if you see that Godfrey's detailing, which probably would be the world's best detailing company ever, if
you know it, baby. Woo.
But if Godfrey was posting every day on Godfrey's detail, when it came time for Fred to want to get his car detailed, he's going to remember, like on next door, oh, I see Godfrey posting every day. Let me get on next door and like follow up with that. 'Cause, like, at least then you know they're local, you know?
Yeah. And Fred, I wanted to ask you, because like, you know, talking with a bunch of detailers, I always hear about like, hey man, how do I get ads going? How do I get seen out there? How do I start to capture some of these customers in my local area? And, you know I had you send me a list of like common stuff that, you know, that you get, like, you know, as for concerning SEO, and it'd be like, you know, stuff like, you know, you're telling me people ask you, do you need a website? Does my Google business map help? You know, how often should I update my site and marketing? Like, you know, it seems like simple stuff, but it seems like when people are first getting started, they seem like intimidated by that. Like, how can SEO or social media or things like that help me get my business launched? You know, and sometimes I think a lot of people struggle with that. They seem intimidated by it. Like it's a bigger deal than it really is. I mean, what would you say to people like that?
There's definitely a learning curve.
But you need a website, right? I mean, that's still something that
I've always felt strongly about it. I think bare minimum, you need Google My Business, but I think you can only go so far with that.
Well, I think like a website now might not be as important, but I feel like like if you're a service-oriented business, right, a detail shop, whatever. I obviously you don't have to update that every day, right? But you could throw a blog post on or whatever and kind of have updates on. But I feel like from a validation perspective, at least me and whatever, I'm 43, you know what I mean? Like I still will want to click your website to see if you got a half decent build page. Or if it's been maintained, or if it's formatted properly. Not like, oh, I'm not going to use your whatever, but it's like, yo, dude, like I open up your website on mobile and it looks like absolute trash. Like that's where people nowadays are looking at websites, like optimized for mobile. Who cares if your desktop doesn't look as good?
And if you don't have a website, you're not going to show up in any of these new search engines because it has nothing to pull. So the thing
to validate, right? Like you're saying that cross
Google's algorithm, the short acronym is EAT, EEAT: experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So you want to go after those four things, and that could be pictures of you actually doing the detailing, maybe awards that you've won in your business, or you're certified, or you have an insurance, you know, like logo that you're insured. It could be your 30 years in business. You know, those are signals to Google, other search engines. They're signals to people that you're a legit business. And when I think of that, it's back to the Google reviews. Like that's a signal to people that you're trustworthy. And when you have a website, it just verifies people's questions they might have, like how much something costs, or how long it takes, or where you're located. You know, all those things are, for sure. I forgot who I was talking to recently. I was trying to set up a rank tracking report for them. And they're like, why did you just put my one city? I'm like, well, you're a local detailer. Why do you want me to track the whole continental US? You're not going to rank for that.
Right.
Like you need to worry about the people in your community, not, you know, if you're based in Minneapolis, what good is it if you're ranking in Austin, Texas? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So there's also a lot of context to it. I think having a website is an extension that Google My Business has a hard time with, because you have limits in Google My Business. So you can only have a description that's 750 characters long. They might make that bigger now. You can update that as much as you want, but having a website, you're basically unhinged on how much you can do. So you can create.
Well, if someone's searching from like Internet Explorer, does that have less of a chance of hitting the Google My Business page versus your web page, right? Like, because that's kind of
I mean, you technically need to be searching in Chrome or something to get like to that part. But if you have a website, you can build pages that are more niche, you know, like it could be a different city and you're trying to go after people in that city, or you can expand on your services. Maybe you do leather repair, or you're doing odor removal. Well, it's hard to fit all those things you might do like in a 750 character.
It doesn't sound like you're just jamming everything in the
because you might not be able to put it all in there. Sound and gloss. Experience, expertise, authority, and trust is the acronym, is EEAT. And there's a ton of information on that. One of my favorite things I go to pretty much every day is Search Engine Land and Search Engine Journal. And a lot of it can be way heavy SEO stuff and techie stuff, but there's a lot of good fundamental stuff in there that you can read, and like best practices and guides on how to do things. It's kind of like the who's who in the industry on getting help on things.
Chris M's out here hanging out in GeoCities like it's 1995.
It's still amazing though that AOL actually still has, like, they still make $500 or $600 million a year in revenue from people that are still on their system.
It's so wild to me. I love it when I get an AOL email.
Yeah, I'm like, I know how old you are when you know when you get with AOL.com or Hotmail.com. You're like, Yahoo's on that borderline, you know.
No, 100% Yahoo's on there.
Yeah,
100%.
Back to the reviews questions again. Like, that's Google's like black box of what they do with reviews. They've had their ups and downs on publishing them accurately, and like you might have 80 reviews, but they're only showing 60. Like that's something they're constantly either testing or they're scrubbing it to make sure it's legit. So like they also see activity that person that left you the review, if they think it's spammy, or maybe they're doing some, you know, like they're just going after companies and racking them up with bad reviews. Like they could be doing anything. They're not going to tell you what they're doing. And sometimes they'll do these big announcements that like, oh, we had an outage or something was broken, so we missed all these reviews. They'll come out and say that, but you just got to know where to find it.
Shit though.
Yeah. Like,
what about something like this? Like, I got 3 reviews that got filters. Is there a way to get them back? Like, how do you go about that?
So what we did.
Do you need to know a Fred?
You got to take a picture. You have to try to get a screenshot from the customer who left the review, right?
I mean, I haven't had to fight for a review personally in a long time, but there might be a process to do that.
That's wild. I feel like a dork saying, like, can you send me a screenshot of the review you did? Like,
I mean, I would ultimately
I would love to get them back. I'd have to take pictures of them. Like, have the customer send me a picture, which is really annoying.
For sure. And then also think of other
review. Now I got to ask you to send me a picture of it and try to get you to validate like from Google if they reach out and say, are you legit? Like,
and they could tell, like, if you're all of a sudden magically you got 100 reviews in one day, like they might look at that and be like, is this legit? You know, like, so you need to do it naturally. Like if you had 5 in a day or 10, like that's probably not out of line. They could probably say, you sent
someone like hotcakes over here. What are you talking about, Google?
Yeah.
5 to 10 a day is crazy, man.
So like there's things you got to worry about with that, but usually people don't get buried by that stuff. It's when they really are trying to hack the system that you get burned. But then think of other sites you can get reviews on, like Facebook reviews. You can get reviews on other business directories like Yelp, Bing, probably Apple soon.
How active is or important is it for mobile detailers in particular to maybe still be on a Yelp page?
Historically, they've always been one of those places that people just complain at, but it's still a highly authoritative website. So it's still a signal that you're a business. Some people might go and say you're not a real business if you're not on Yelp or it's been verified on Yelp. You know what I mean? Like that's a signal that maybe it means you're legit. And there's ways to build mass amounts of those business directories that are not manual. It's an automated process, and it saves you a lot of time and money. There's thousands of those actually. And one of the ones I like is called Bright Local. And they'll like crank out a bunch of updates for you and get you mentioned on all these other business sites. They're probably not as well known, but it's still a signal that you're a legitimate company. But then on the flip side, like on the e-commerce side, say for BioBombs, like having product reviews is a big deal. It's another feather in your cap that you have trust in your product. If you had nothing but 1-star reviews, you're probably not going to sell a whole lot of something.
Shout out to the individuals that happen to love once a day to just leave a 1 or 2-star review that go in and just
did we get one today?
Cater the response so that whoever reads it doesn't think we're D-bags and will still give us a try.
We got a 1-star today for.
Thank you to everybody who doesn't reach out to us personally through email for help. It's nobody in the chat, but just speaking loosely in general.
We got a 1-star today for.
There's no excuse
that they absolutely love, but they instead of clicking 4 or 5 stars, they accidentally clicked the 1-star. So I just sent them a note. Hey, you gave us a great written review, but your star rating did not match.
That's an easy fix, man. I wish it were that easy.
That's the other thing. So not to go sideways too much, but like also the intent on like a review is a big deal. Like just having a star rating is okay, but it's the messaging that's in that review that actually has a lot more authority to that they used to not, if that makes sense. So
I'll put reviews sometimes for like restaurants and stuff that I work with, just like, yo, this food's fire or something like that. Or like just even updating stuff, and Google tries to pump you up as a reviewer, like, "Yo, your review's getting all these looks."
Oh yeah.
Do some more reviews, and I'm like,
yo, I left a review one time for when I got my heater done in my house or whatever. It's like, your review's reaching so many people. You've reached over 5,000 people, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm calling the company that I bought this damn heater from and telling them like, yo, I'm getting the service free when you guys come out for the first time. My review's hitting 5,000 people. Like, I didn't even get a thank you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. So I one of the questions you put in there, you get a lot. It's like, how do I know my SEO is working?
Yeah,
like,
that's.
So how do you answer that when you get that?
I mean, historically, I would tell you to know your data. So diving into data is like the biggest compass that you have, and GPS in a sense. Like it tells you where you're at. You could check how you've progressed. Like if you don't have that information, it's kind of like if Christian came into work and, like someone was like, oh, how many of these bars do we have? And he's like, I don't know. Like, well, you're not doing your job, like
right.
Maybe 50, maybe 2,000. Like if you don't know that stuff, like how are you running your company? The same thing with marketing. Like if you don't know how much traffic you're getting or where it's coming from, how many orders you're getting, or maybe how many details you're booking, you're not putting your best foot forward on your doing the work of the business, not doing the work for your business, like doing the actual work of detailing, but like you need to work your business too, and like know your numbers, know what your bank account says. You have to know, like in data, like tracking traffic, tracking your orders, your revenue. There's rank tracking software, like I have one set up for Christian for BioBombs. Tells me like where he's ranking for vehicle deodorization kit, and it updates every day, and it tells me if that's went down or not. And if you don't know that stuff, then again, you're really hurting your company, and you don't need to go that crazy. And like my day job is, if I show you all the reports I have to look through every day, it's mind blowing.
So essentially, you're saying do hard shit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, love that.
Do hard shit.
At least there's the first curse word.
Your particular Cortex gang.
At least once a week or maybe once a month, you should look at like where things are and look back at maybe the month before or the week before and the year before. You can see like historically how you're doing. Now moving into this new AI thing, that's the data part's all screwed up because Google now has AI mode, which is this big new AI feature. Well, they didn't even have tracking applicable on that until the other day, and then that was broken and misattributing data. So they're still very foggy on like how you're going to know if you're showing up in that area or not. And now it's more like, instead of tracking traffic, you're tracking like people's experiences now. It's a whole different process. I'm still trying to understand, like at work, so like my superiors, like what metrics am I going to show them to say we're doing a good job in SEO anymore?
Right.
Because it's like kind of living in space now. As long as revenue's coming in, that's good. I can probably keep that at bay.
I feel like,
but Fred, like it's like nobody, like there's no one having in, like people, like someone has to know how this new shit works.
I mean, there's tool companies that are working on it. Like they're trying their damnedest to like get ahead of all this, but everything's just moving so fast that
that's what I feel like. I feel like with AI, it has this unlimited potential. However, I feel like people try to deploy it in businesses. I've seen it firsthand, and they think it's AI, it's perfected. There cannot be a mistake because it's AI, and that's. But I see that all the time, and you're like, nope. This is my algorithm, or outside of that, this is the AI process.
Well, the thing that with that, like what you're saying, I'm trying to like build a presentation network to keep things kind of digestible by people. So there's two tracks for AI. There's the tool part, like you want to write content or maybe build an image. Maybe you need to write a description for something. And now on the other side, you have this whole AI search experience. Like there's two paths. They might cross like this once in a while, but like understanding all that is kind of crazy. But like to your point, going all in on AI, like I've seen horrible things go down. And then I've seen some fantastic stuff. And the thing that everyone needs to keep their mind on is AI kind of grows at a hockey stick. Like it just keeps how quick it learns.
Yeah. It's like, whoosh.
Yeah. And then, you might have a bad experience, but then you need to prod it again. And it's all like based on inputs. Like me and Christian are always working on stuff together for content, and he's built some prompts and some inputs that he controls for his website in his AI tool that we use. And
when Christian talks about AI,
better, like it's learning from him.
Oh yeah,
it's seeing the results, and it just keeps making itself better. I think the dilemma that there is, though, is there's two sides of AI that you can kind of get into. At work, I'm using a closed-looped AI model, meaning it only takes my inputs and prompts. It doesn't look at the internet. It doesn't look at any other sources of information except for me and my company's info.
Is that still considered a large language model, or is that more like a?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, because it's got massive components to it.
It's just so localized, right? Like,
yeah,
it's only taking what you say. It's not pulling. It's like an in-house AI, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you got the open source ones like ChatGPT that can just go anywhere and go rogue if they want to, and that's where it gets a little bit hairy.
Yeah. So I want to address this comment. I don't think AI is a fad, and I could tell you one thing.
I don't think so either.
I could tell you one thing that made me realize.
If you're not using AI, man, you're missing out.
Yeah, I have a friend that works at Microsoft, and he's one of those Excel ninjas you're talking about there, Woods. And he said he had to come to grips with it can do it better than me, right? And then you use it as the tool as it is, and then you realize that it could do it better than you. And it's kind of like going from a hand tool to a power tool, and you're like, okay, here we go. And he said, if you're not using AI, you will get left behind. And there's certain jobs where it's not going to apply, right? Don't get me wrong. Oh, he was making a joke. Great way to carry that over through text there, Chris. But,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good,
great way to carry the emphasis over those jokes.
Chris.
It's going to take my job, sure. But listen, Fred, I wanted to ask you, as we're going to start running out of time soon, because I told a bunch of detailers like, hey, SEO guys coming on. What is like the playbook that you would give someone starting out from an SEO perspective of like the first top 5 things they really should do, right? Like I'm getting started out in the mobile detail business or the detailing business, and I need to make my presence felt on the web that gets me business and to my job. Like what's the top 5 things?
Let me see if I learned.
Okay.
So it's going to be a Google My Business page, posting regularly if possible or semi-regularly. It's an interconnected web network of all the other social media platforms being tied in. And then I would think that it still has to do something to do with being able to make sure that you have a way for people to be able to know your location. And then, you know, Fred, you can obviously fill in whatever I'm missing.
Yeah, no, I mean, from like a very high level, I mean, very down and dirty, like you need to know what your business is. So understand what your services are, your prices. Like I always see so many people asking about prices and stuff, but when I mean know your services, like be specific. I mean, you can do packages and stuff. I see people that have 50 different add-ons they do, but like know your business, and then take that and inject it in Google My Business for sure. In your website, like you shouldn't just have one page that is your whole website. Like break it up into like sections that people can condense and or like can understand and can
It's like the way you see like the hamburger in the corner or whatever, and you open it up and it's like,
yeah,
you
you
know,
should have
a
a
tour or whatever. It's like
architecture.
interior, exterior, like you want to kind of break down
paint corrections, ceramic coatings,
other
and then,
services, whatever.
You know, like put some context in there. What that means, what's an interior detailing mean for you, and then maybe you have some add-ons. So like spend your time on those things. Put in an effort on how you're writing them. Like put good content there. If you're not a good writer, or maybe you've been out of school one time and your vocabulary or maybe your grammar is not good,
AI.
like that's where AI can help you a lot.
Yeah.
That's where I think the meat and potatoes comes into is, having
AI. Make me not sound like an idiot. Enter.
And my thing with AI, like that I'm beating over people at work, is the 80-20 rule. It gets you 80% of the way there.
Hell yeah.
You spend 20% of your time making it, that much better and more in line with your audience or your expertise.
But again, you can build these models like within.
Well, that's what I said. They keep learning, but like,
yeah, but like, I mean, if you set up, if I set up a BioBombs pull and it just starts taking all the information that I'm feeding into it, and I'm saying, nah, like this isn't the proper way to do this. You need to do it this way. This is for this, right? I mean, it learns. I mean, it literally memory updated. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, what prompts would you use to help build SEO content for mobile detailers?
Oh, geez. I mean, I look at it pretty in depth. So like every time I do a piece of content, I create what's called an SEO content brief. And it has all my variables in it that I want in that piece of content. So you basically do the same thing and you feed that into the AI tool. It could be the location, what services, who you're targeting, the tone of your article, all these different inputs. And they're usually pretty robust. I'll usually spend an hour to 2 hours just doing that to feed into it, if that makes sense. And then you get something out that's really well done. So Google My Business, a good website, part of that website. Number 3 would be, again, breaking it out so people can digest it easily, and not just people, like search engines can. Like they want to go out there and find specific information. So
is that where a blog would be good? Like for a detailer's website where like they could post something on their blog. Like today we had a.
I mean, I think that's going to come in more into play now with all this personalization and stuff. Like Google's going to know, like, if your blog's closer to me than the New York Times or something.
What's going to stop regular size companies, like big companies like Home Depot and Lowe's or whoever it might be, where these cats are spending $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 a month on SEO work, right? Like, what separates the little guys? The mom and pop detail shops, the smaller companies, the guy who just got his first shop after going mobile, being mobile for 5 years. Like, is it just that personalization that like, hey, I'm not like a big corporate. It's more like, this is us. This is who we like. Does that matter?
Yeah, I think that's going to matter. And it's the intent on what they're looking for. And that's where you need to know like your audience and build your website around that, and like who you're catering to.
Yeah, like for example, like if you're in whatever town and you're like, I want to start pulling more odor removal jobs, right? Like I know the money's there, I know people's cars stink, whatever. Like what would you do if it was you in that situation? Is it like create blogs for that? Is it create social media posts for it? Like, is it just doing this run of just going on a push like that for like a week or two, or putting it into a schedule? Like,
I mean, the core, I always say start at your main website pages and then branch out to some of that stuff. So maybe it's you have your core services, then you branch out into blogging, and it could be tips about, like cleaning out your car.
Sure.
It could be tips on removing odors. It could be tips on removing a stain, or, fixing a scratch, whatever it might be. And you create like a hub and spoke around certain topics around your website. And I think something that Troy, my friend, was trying to hone in on earlier was like relevancy is going to be bigger than ever. So Google basically said, like, if you're a car detailing website and you're writing a blog, it should be related to your core of what you're doing. So you shouldn't be talking about like patching a tire in a car. Like, it's not related entirely to your business. So we're like, I have a competitor that I was analyzing their blog, and they do a certain business, but then they're writing like a monthly recipe of the month. I'm like, you're like
a mark there.
You're like a technology company. What the hell are you writing about?
That's an old school play. I've seen that when in the car business where like they would send out like a monthly flyer, like, hey, just saying hello, I'm your car guy. Hey, here's the recipe of the month, type of deal to kind of keep you front and center in mind. I get where that comes from originally, but I don't know if the system's going to pick up on that authenticity, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, there's all those signals we talked about earlier, expertise, authority, trust, like all that stuff's going to just be, it's captured in micro moments, of all this stuff that we're doing. So it's so hard to wrap my head around about how this is all going to play out because it's so new. But I think quality, digestible information is what they keep saying. Like, and what I mean by that is like breaking things up in sections so people can, if they were scrolling through say a newspaper and you're looking for the score of the Phillies and you have all these other sports teams in there, like you quickly can scan that page and see, oh, Phillies, you see that word pop out and you know to read that part, if that makes sense. You kind of have to do that with your information on your website or in your digital presence and make it very clear and grabbable, if that makes sense.
So one of the things that Paul was like that when he asked about like what prompts would you use, like I think that's something locally do. Your best bet's probably going to be to jump on some type of model, whatever one it is you want to use, whether it be Gemini, whether it be OpenAI, whatever, and just start talking to it, right?
Well, yeah, and you do research, like you actually go out there and test things that you want to understand for your market, like, and see what things are showing up, and you can learn a lot from what other people are getting. I used to say what other people are doing. Now it's more what Google and all these search engines are showing. Like, you can learn from what they're presenting to people.
Yeah. Like if you search something, you can see kind of the other related searches, like those type of things. I think matters, right? I mean,
yeah, and I think the other thing is every industry is different. Every business location's different. So like, you always need to try new things, and you can't like get frustrated because you could do the same thing on your website, and certain pages it works really well on, and others it doesn't affect as well. So it's always just I used to say SEO is an art and a science. Like, you use this data science part of it, and it's an art learning how to make it all work. And you got to keep that in mind. Like, it's not cookie cutter by any means. Every topic is different.
You know what? So it makes me think about you. I had you send me an email, and I feel your pain about silly things family members ask you when you're in tech business. When I used to work for AT&T, and my favorite is you numbered them. I don't know if this was number in order.
No, I just put them in a list.
But can you fix my Google, meaning the internet?
Yeah, that was my father-in-law. My Google's down. It's broken. You come help me.
My dad does that all the time. He comes up to me like, yo, what is this? I'm like, Pop, if you don't see a blue check mark next to that shit or Apple's name next to it and it's written in blue, they're lying to you. It's not. They're telling me my storage is done on my phone. I'm like, it's a scam. It's a scam. Do not open anything at all. And this is coming from the dude who literally got chumped not even a year ago from some dude. And where was he from? Godfrey?
Turkey. Yeah. And you smoked and you hung out with him.
I still got his WhatsApp or
that.
whatever.
I'd be like, yo, let's fight now. But
I'm gonna have him on as a guest one of these days on the podcast.
I can't even
Squid Game hoods. You know what I mean?
Jesus. Can you set up my camera doorbell? Is one that you've been getting to people, because this is a relation like
so disrespectful to an SEO too.
Yeah. Can you set can you set up my camera doorbell? Or how about do you know how to update my phone? I guess because it's related to the internet.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
No one's asked you to fix your Wi-Fi?
Oh, all the time. It's the same people too. It's all interconnected to the same two people.
This has to be client driven. If you don't get the SEO to work, I would call Google and tell them to push the button.
Yeah, I had a client tell me that once.
I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, you go do that, buddy.
And I literally was like, here's the number. You can call them and see how that goes. And he's like, he looked at me in astonishment. I'm like, do you have a couple billion? They could probably do something for you. And he's like, what do you mean a couple billion? I said, $2 billion. They'll do for whatever you want for them for that. But they're not just going to that's why they make money on ads. They,
Can I copy content from other websites and use it on mine? Oh my
gosh. I had a guy that I built a website for his mobile detailing shop 3-4 years ago. And he literally wanted me to copy another West Coast detailer's complete site.
What a surprise. What a surprise. It's from Cali.
Like, he wasn't from Cali. He wanted to rip off the site from Cali. I was like, dude, no, he's some guy in Chicago. And I was like, I'm not doing any of that because if you get busted, I'm going to get busted. But on top of that, Google's going to get you for piracy and can close the website down, or not close the website down, but kick it out of the search engine.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not worth it. He was like mad at me about it. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So
can you build me a website for 200?
Yeah,
Alex?
I get that once in a while.
Or how about, can I just copy no, my website is not working. Can you help me? Ends up being their Facebook.
Yeah, that happens once in a while. I'm like, it's not a website.
I would be like, yo, what I need you to do
is or they build a business profile like in a standard like person profile, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not a business page. It's a personal,
just a regular social page or whatever.
Like, that's not how that works.
Sounding Lost got a question here. I want to make sure we get
I was trying to look at that too.
But like, for those of us to make Instagram content, do we need to write out what the product does and who it's for?
I mean, you can. I think eventually these search engines are gonna more and more go look at that kind of stuff. Like, Google's hated a lot of those things for a long time, and like a lot of the tech companies haven't gotten along very much. But I think now with these new search engines that are going to possibly take up to 20% of the market share in the next 2 years, I think that'll be something they're able to do, is scrape content from social media and put things together for people. And it kind of goes back to, making content for your audience and that you're trying to actually work with. It's great to post product reviews and stuff like that if you're trying to sell products, but if you're a local detailer, shift your mind to, okay, you can show the product you're using, but what that benefit is for that person, and maybe write it out in bullet points that kind of checks boxes for who you're trying to work with.
Like, what's the problem? Like,
peel the onion back. Like, oh, you have kids and you need to clean a stain out, or your husband smokes in the car, or
or it's like, spilled milk inside of a car, looking for
relevancy, right?
A solution that's going to get deep down into the odors. We have your fix. You know what I mean? Like, something like that, I feel like would then turn around and give you a decent pull if the AI can collaborate.
Yeah, you can always hashtag. You can always put your city in there. I think, like, back to like not having your city listed in your Instagram or your Facebook page. And your address, like, just do it. And like, even in posts, you could do, you could always end like a social post. Like, if you're looking for car detailing in Philadelphia, contact us today, whatever, like, be a canned thing that you put, but at least
throw a location on there where it says Philadelphia, PA, or something.
Like, any variable you can do, any variable that you can do like that separates you from another content creator or website. That's like a feather in your hat that might make the difference from someone seeing you or not, if that makes sense.
I feel like when people do that, they're just not taking their time to do the process. They're rushing through it
they're just doing it to do it.
And they're not thinking about the overall impact of everything. What's the why and how do you get there? I think, Christian, it might be time for Fresh AF or Fast AF. Sorry, Fast AF boy.
Fred, I apologize in advance for the Snickers question, but you're gonna have to get hit with it because Godfrey insists on.
He's been prepped. He was prepped.
That's cool. Let's see if our elements are back this week.
We had
look, here it is, guys.
Look at that.
Just for y'all, enjoy this. I swear this is gonna be the last week. I know I've said this for months, but here we go.
I'm fast as fuck, boy. Still fast as fuck, boy. Come get some. I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am.
There's got to be somebody that can help me just get that done. I don't have to put it on my list of shit to
do. Yeah, what did you say?
It's so bad.
It is bad, but it's legendary now.
Yep. Just like your Snickers question.
The audience didn't like that, so. Yeah, well, we're not there yet. I mean, listen, we got some other questions for you, Fred.
Yeah. First and foremost, Funkin 10, House of Rags. Stop on by, save yourself some change. Let's not forget that.
Fred, we're going to ask you, Crocs or not, right off we're going to come in hot.
He's coming in hot.
Do I wear Crocs? Is that the question?
Well, I mean, you would be for Crocs if you're wearing Crocs, my friend.
No, I do have Crocs, but they don't look like they're more like
you got like the Yeezy Crocs or whatever they are.
They're like something I could wear on my friend's fancy boat, so I don't scuff up his, like they have the white bottoms, but they look like shoes.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't wear like the old school.
So they're from the Crocs brand. They're not an actual
shoes,
Croc.
Yeah. So if I get we're
gonna put you in a not category for that. We're gonna go to the judges for this.
Especially socks on, or with socks on. I can't do it like my kids.
Nope, socks.
Kids do it, man. Love it, dude. My nephew does that shit. He comes out in public. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
You look like an 82-year-old father-in-law wearing Crocs.
Like, it's cool for you to do right now, dude, but like in a couple of years, like you can't be going out doing that, dude. Like, I don't think you're gonna ever get yourself a girlfriend.
Your nephew's gonna grow up with a big man bun and wearing Crocs.
I mean, listen, I can't knock the kid, dude. He's got like an 8-pack and he works out for 5 hours a week. He's probably gonna go to the NHL, but like,
is that
still,
him?
but still, I tell him, dude, I don't care how good you are at hockey, you still look like an idiot when you walk around with.
It might be a foot thing, getting the feet rest. You know what I'm saying? Wearing those skates a lot.
Man. He's got a really big meeting on the 9th of June. Tomorrow's his birthday, but he's going out to Iowa, I believe. There's some crazy town in the middle of Iowa, I guess, that is like a major hockey place for kids that are getting ready to go pro.
Someone told me that too. I forget the name.
Yeah.
Of it. So, favorite polisher, Fred? You talked about your polish back in the day. Favorite polisher?
Probably my favorite that I had ever was my Makita rotary that I had back in the 90s that lasted 20-something years, and I finally got rid of it just because I was bored of having it. But that's what I started with in the mid-90s, and that thing ran for 20-plus years. I finally got rid of it right after COVID.
Shout out to Makita. That was the original drill brush I used back in the day before battery power used to be the thing, man. We used to beat the hell out of the Makitas, man, and they would just run and run and run.
Dad bods need Crocs to sell the vibe. Nah, Fred Crocken. That's what the House of Rags says. Fred is Crocken.
Nah, Fred Crocken. I don't believe it.
I'm from Chicago. I wear J's.
Hey.
This is a question that was inspired by Woodland. When you take a Lyft or an Uber, are you a front seat person or a back seat person? Now, the front seat and the back seat have to be an available option.
Meaning, it has to be more. So like if you have a 4-passenger Uber and there's 3 people, are you sitting in the back with 3 people or are you getting in the front?
I'll get in the front.
Hell yeah.
People. Yeah.
If
there's someone that needs the room more than I do, I let them do it. Like I'm not.
All right, but here's the thing. Sometimes when you get in the front,
chastised me for like jumping in the front.
It was 2 of us though. When you get in the front though, and the dude's got like a stack of newspapers, like he definitely wasn't expecting you to get in the front. That's all I'm gonna say.
I have trust issues like Drake. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like if he wants to, I got to be ready to grab the wheel if this dude don't see something coming.
Chris M says he sits in the front on solo trips. That's wild to me.
No,
it's a wild fun.
I respect that.
You sit in the front. Yo, I'm telling you right now, as someone
I
who
don't
used
like
to
to be
do
chauffeured.
Uber,
It's a weird
someone that
feeling,
used to
man.
do Uber, and I'm the driver, and there's nobody in the car, and it's a single ride, and you get in the front seat. I'm feeling. It's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I've been in that driver's side. It feels kind of weird to me. Just letting you guys know.
Good.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, so front seat. So worst car to detail.
Oh, jeez.
Like when you back in the day, we did like I don't want to touch this thing. Is it Pontiac Aztec? No,
No.
Honda Element.
The worst car I ever detailed.
Siennas were pretty bad back in the day with the tan and the gray carpets that were just kind of like browned out. Yeah.
Back in high school, I detailed my friend's mom's. What the hell did she have? Like a Sentra or something? But she smoked in it for like 5 years and never got it clean. And then I got it to take care of. And it was, I used
You didn't have
zero
back then,
steel
baby.
wool on the windshield to clean the tar off of it.
Steer wool, the
my
4.0.
God.
Yeah, man.
It was brutal.
I believe it.
Back in the high school, what was your go-to playlist when in the trenches? Doesn't have to be high school, but you know when you were in the trenches.
Well, I mean, back when I grew up, it was all hip hop and actually I listened a lot, but I was heavily influenced by hip hop and
It was a cool
some
era.
grunge,
Like
probably.
that. I was going to say that grunge
Yeah.
era was a big thing for us
Right.
too.
So
big
Teen
thing, yeah.
Spirit came on, and you were like, "Let's go."
Just that whole era, man. Like
Jam,
Pearl Jam. It was like the Offspring.
stuff like that.
You know.
But I was always a West Coast rap guy, so.
Yeah, shout out to the West Coasters.
Favorite car?
Oh, geez. I mean, if I could buy one car,
Any car you want.
I'd
It's
buy a
GTA,
Ferrari
baby.
F40.
Ferrari F40.
Yeah, that's
All
my
right.
dream. There's one at my Cars and Coffee last month, which was
No
epic.
shit. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I heard they're
Doctor
absolute
owns it.
turds to drive, but they're just such a cool car.
Same car. Like I remember when that car came out in 85 or 86, whenever it was the first one. And I've been sprung on it ever since.
Yeah, man.
But I'm more into like custom, so like I'd rather build something badass than just buy a car off the lot and think I'm a cool guy.
Yeah.
So
Custom's cool, man. I'm a big fan.
I want to
Yeah,
see a
custom.
reality car show that comes out where you take a world-renowned ugly car and turn and soup it up into something. Like I want to see someone do a Pontiac Aztec and make it look like wow.
There's no possible way you can ever say wow.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge.
not
There's
possible.
There's an AI group on Facebook that just does AI stuff for cars, and they redid the Aztec into what it could look like now. It actually looked
It was the Cybertruck.
No shit.
Yeah, it looked pretty badass.
You gotta send me that when you get a chance, Fred.
I'll
I'll
have to
definitely
try to find
curious
it,
to
yeah.
see. One of my favorite renders that they did a build for or whatever was the Chrysler Pacifica with the Hemi in it and shit.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah,
they did
yeah,
this
yeah.
like slammed version of the Pacifica, dude, with
Yeah,
like
it looks
rims
sick.
and tinted out and
Yeah.
shit.
That is probably one of the worst cars ever.
Dude, it
designed.
looked sick, bro.
That's top 5 worst. If you can make that, you could do something Aztec. The Pacifica was like.
I'm saying, literally, this render was like a really good render.
What was the one? Is that the Pacifica I'm thinking of? No, the one that the Chrysler did that was like the round car.
PT
The
Cruiser.
PT Cruiser.
Oh, PT Cruiser, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really bad car. Clean
So
that.
that
I would say
says,
that's
like, I
probably
was an
one of
extra
my-
in Thelma and
One of my
Louise.
least favorites to detail would be PT Cruisers.
Wow.
They were turds.
All right, Fred. Favorite cartoon as a kid?
Oh, jeez,
Love it.
man.
Every week, this question, I just love it when we ask it because people just bring up shit that I just.
I mean, the one that I remember, like, have fondest memories of was probably Charlie Brown. I don't know
Okay.
why. Or Garfield. Garfield was big.
I love Garfield.
Or you know what? Now I could just keep rattling. Voltron, Thundercats.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell
Yeah, I
yeah.
used to say
The
to my
original
dog.
Transformers, like I could just keep
The
going.
original was good, dude.
Yeah. G.I. Joe. Like,
Yep,
man.
yep. I was gonna say that's the next one that always comes.
I
after
used
that.
to say to my dog all the time, I'm going to ship you off to Abu Dhabi because you know Garfield used to always put Odie in there, ship him off.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Odie,
yeah.
where'd he go? Yo,
What was the Junkyard Cats with him though? No, it's
Junkyard.
Heathcliff. That's Heathcliff.
That's
Heathcliff.
Yeah.
Yep.
They used to. Yeah, Heathcliff was like that was like
They
the
were called, though. It was its
Aldi
own-
version.
It was
But
its own series. Like there would be like a Heathcliff cartoon, and then in that same half-hour segment, there would be like the Junkyard Cats, but I can't remember what they were called. Fat Albert. Oh, shout out to Fat Albert. That was
Yeah,
a
right.
fun show.
I need to know because you're from Chicago. and there's some good foods here. We got a good city to deal with here.
Oh, there's so much food.
What is if I'm coming to Chicago and I'm gonna automatically disqualify
Just one meal.
deep dish pizza? It's because I feel like that's too easy, and really that's a pizza cake, but that's another debate.
Here he goes.
All right, but
don't be disrespecting a man's pizza, man.
I've had it, man. Listen, if you have deep dish pizza, you better have a bed nearby because you're gonna sleep.
100%.
It's like a full meal with one piece.
It's
one
piece. Like, lasagna.
There's ice cream cake and there's pizza cake, and it's deep dish pizza. Like there's a place I go to that when I've had it every now and then, they're like, we need 45 minutes to make your pie. That's how long it takes.
Yeah.
But outside of that, Chicago, what's the food that you're like, dude, we got to go here outside of the deep dish pizza?
I mean, the locals, we like thin crust pizza. So we call it tavern style, and it's cut into squares, not the triangles. There's so many places here for that. Another big thing here is Italian beef. Like you got Philly cheesesteaks, but we got Italian beef here.
Okay.
Hot dogs are a big deal here.
The Chicago dog. Yeah, I made Woodland. We had a stopover in Chicago on the way back. Was that from SEMA or
First
Cali?
of all, I had a little get together at the crib 2 weeks ago for Memorial Day, and Godfrey comes out when the food's done, and this dude goes straight glizzy plate. He got 3 hot dogs. There was a burger bar with all types of fixings,
nothing to do with the burgers.
You can imagine. This dude
I heard
walked
that in the
out
last podcast. He didn't touch the burger.
Dude, 3 hot dogs. Wow.
Yeah, Woodland, to his credit, had a pretty good topping spread for the hot dog. So I made a pseudo Chicago dog, which wasn't a true one, but I put the pickle on the side and I put bacon in it as a Chicago dog. But I made Woodland get a Chicago dog at the airport because they had one, and I think he liked it. I liked it.
The Chicago dog. I house a hot dog, dude.
Yeah,
I'm about to have one after I get done here. So
I'm down with the Chicago dog. I'm down with it.
Yeah, Kim knows. She's asking if I want hot peppers or sweet peppers on my Italian beef.
I'm sweet peppers. I'm a sweet pepper. Sweet pepper.
Of course.
And then Eddie's, I think it's Eddie running the House of Rags channel, or is that Jamie?
It all depends.
The subs in Chicago, there's probably a handful that I really like. Like there's one that was probably 45 minutes for me. I used to drive to get a sub. It was like super cheap back in the day. It was like an 18-inch sub for $7, and it was just
wow.
Yeah,
I literally drive that far to get it because it was so good.
Absolutely.
When I worked on the trading floor, this trader he bought like 300 subs from this place, and he was handing them out, and he gave me one. I'm like, I'm gonna go eat real quick, and I was like, damn it, I forgot to tell my traders I was leaving the floor. So I took a bite, put it down on the table outside the like gates to get on the trading floor, told my traders, ran back out. Someone took my sandwich because they wanted to eat it, even though I took a bite out of it. I purposely took a bite, but they would leave it.
They were like, "Who would leave a sandwich?"
That's only one bite, man. I'm taking it.
Yeah. He gave me another one, luckily, and ever since I had that, I was hooked.
That's definitely, and tell me if I'm wrong here, that's not Eddie running the House of Rags. That's definitely Jamie, because Eddie, knowing where he's from, he would have called that a hoagie, not a sub.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
That, and if there's any type of spelling that's correct whatsoever, it's definitely not Eddie. That's
that could be another
100%.
Far be it for me to call someone out for that. So, candy corn, yes or no?
I can mess with candy corn once in a while. It's not my favorite by any means, but
it's wax.
I try not to
set it on fire.
Oh yeah, it's not. I mean, that's at the bottom of the bucket after my kids have purged all the good stuff.
You mean they leave the candy corn there because they instinctively know it sucks? Yeah. That's that's what smart kids. All right, so ketchup on your eggs, yes or no?
No. Hot sauce.
Okay.
Not ketchup.
Just hot sauce. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Ranch. Do you use it, and on what?
Salads.
Nice.
Wings. I like wings, so I'll usually do blue cheese or ranch. Just depends what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm a blue cheese guy.
Yeah, I like blue cheese on the wings over the ranch, and it is that time. It's getting closer to the end of the evening.
You just tell them you eat it normal. That's what everybody else should be doing.
Snickers Army, mount up.
It's so weird that you say that.
So Snickers, vein down or up?
Honestly, I've never given a thought. I'm more of a Milky Way, Three Musketeers guy or something
There
like
you
that.
go, there
Well,
you
but you know
go.
what though? Here's the thing about that. They all got veins. So Three Musketeers, vein down or vein up?
Don't care.
So you're just opening the wrapper, going normal tire tracks
Yeah.
on the bottom. Tire tracks meaning the bottom of the candy bar. All right.
Whatever, yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Listen, some people just like it. Some people like vanilla. Some people like Rocky Road. What can you say?
For some reason, Godfrey likes to ask people about veins on a chocolate bar that aren't really veins.
Well, this is inspired by our own Eddie Cologne, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just carrying the torch.
I don't co-sign any of that.
I have proof. I have the video.
That's fine. I'm just saying. It's still weird.
He's talking about Red Bull and Jaeger.
Ugh. Red Bull and Jaeger's rough. Loyalty or respect, though, is usually our closing question here. Which do you choose?
Oh man. Probably loyalty. Like, I don't know. I'm usually, at least that's how I think of myself with other people. Like, I'm loyal. I don't know.
That's why I love
Around where I grew up, respect was clear. Like, if you didn't do that, there's some issues.
You're not questioning respect where you grew up at.
Yeah.
You just understood it.
Yeah.
Chat's going wild tonight. Veins to the left. Got to have a cheek feel. Shh.
You got a wild bunch, man. Listen, y'all gonna have your own area next time we get in a public space. Y'all can keep all that weird shit away from me, man. You want to go out and get some real food, eat, talk about other stuff? I'm cool.
Fred is an awesome guy. I met him at SEMA last year.
Yeah, Drago, we ran into him at the casino or the hotel they were all hanging out at.
Drago was hanging. That was cool.
He was like, dude, your company's huge. And I was like, what? It's me and Brad.
Shout out to Vascular Texture Chocolate Bars. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Drago's a good guy. I've been chatting with him a little bit.
I find it ironic that Serrano popped up in the chat after Jaeger.
After Jaeger, it's popped up, of course.
Surprise.
It's like the bat signal went off, and it's like, here I come.
He started ringing. He's like, oh, shit, I got to jump off fucking homies.
I had the best time with
I'm ready for
Carlos
some rounds, he says.
And Smurf and Aaron and AF and Brad. We went to Aria, I think, for dinner.
Oh, yeah, you guys went to dinner out.
We all jammed into one car. Carlos riding in the trunk.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
All I know is after SEMA,
team player
at the bar, we're gonna take over that whole damn bar. It's gonna happen. The whole damn bar. I feel like we almost did a quarter of it last year. I think we could take off we can populate one half of the side of that bar. I think with
if it was more communicated with all the different people that everyone knew at this event, like, I bet you're right.
Well, don't you worry. The Snickers Army Corp is going to be on that and coordinating.
I'm cool if y'all come out and support us for.
I don't know if you guys are going to that hotel again, though.
I think we are.
Me and Godfrey actually been having conversations about it, so we're not sure where we're going to wind up landing yet, but
we're probably going to end up staying at the rental site. It's just like when you're on. Listen,
I don't need like this luxurious joint. I'm going to the seediest place in pretty much the country.
Yeah, but you don't want to be like,
no, that would be a
bad times in your room, though, didn't you?
No, the room was all right.
No, it wasn't bad. I mean, listen, Joel and them cats had it worse than we did. If they stayed at wherever that old joint was or whatever, and they're like, yo, our room is a bucket. Like,
where were they at?
I forget.
Circus?
Yeah, I think they were Circus.
Oh, you can't do Circus, man.
They didn't know. You know what I mean? And they were like, dude, our room is the worst.
You look up reviews on Circus. You want to talk about Google reviews? You read the reviews on Circus. You're like, what?
Circus of reviews.
They're like, they're stained on the ceiling. Like, like you're lucky to get out of there with no bed bugs.
You need to go with some minis in there and just start cleaning.
In fact, yes, I would demand if Woodland said we're staying at Circus Sugars. I'm like, I'm only doing it if we bring a steamer and minis and we steam that whole bitch up and down. If we walk in there, the steamer on. Steamer's on, and we're in there like shh. Before the door, I'm steaming the handle before we even walk in. That's how bad I know it is. I mean,
don't bring your luxurious underwear. Bring your seedy underwear. I heard it gets stolen. Shout out to Eddie Cologne losing his underwear in the morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, it was all right overall. When you have to be at a booth at SEMA, I think like it's key to just not have to do something and get up.
Oh yeah. Because I forgot where we stayed.
It's more of a downgrade.
It was a commute every day.
Yeah, man. If we can, and we're probably on the same page there, me and Will, then about like just we're done and we're at the place we're at, and it serves the purpose.
Yeah, time goes so fast, man. It's the fact that we're in June right now and we're 5 months out from being at that joint just blows my mind.
Oh,
the first 5 of this year just went so fast. It was unreal.
It's going by so quick.
It was like freezing, Christmas time, New Year's, whatever. It's like, all right, cool. And then all of a sudden it's like springtime came around. It's like, boom, now we're like summer. It's just, as I get older, it's just crazy.
And it seemed like God's give us like 75-degree days this year at Vegas, not like a paltry like 59, 60 that we got. Like,
yeah. It wasn't that warm this time.
Doesn't matter, fellas. We made the best of it. We had a lot of laughs.
We had a good time.
Heck yeah.
It's fun.
All right, well, listen, Fred, in my opinion, dude, I would love to have you on as things develop, even if we don't have to have you on for a full video. But if you learn things, dude, and you want to pop on and kind of just share some of the stuff with the community, I think that would be a big help. I appreciate everything you do for us with BioBombs, man. You've been a rock star for us, rock solid from the day we met. I think anybody that's got any questions out there, whatever, you guys all should be able to find Fred. He's got his email
my email's up here. If you want to email me, or you can find me on Instagram.
Yeah, don't hesitate. Reach out to the dude. He's one of the easiest cats to talk to and work with.
I usually try to help anyone I can.
It's a good vibe for life, brother. I totally support that. 100%. For sure.
It's a crazy space to be in. So when I can help people that aren't in that space, it's gives you the good feels.
Yeah, man. It's all about being a good human being.
If anyone's ever in the Chicagoland area, if you're ever going to like Car Supply's warehouse or the Bays,
yep.
I'm 15 minutes from there.
Sooner than later, dude, I'll have to get out and have myself some of that Chicago grub.
No, we'll have to do it.
Yeah, man.
For sure. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. It was a blast. Everybody out there, we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining in.
For sure. You guys know the deal, man. Stay fresh. I'll see you next week. Peace.
Yeah.